my McIntosh apple trees. Still plenty of apples on the trees. It's the 1st of October now, so a couple more weeks of apples. After I cut off the bruise spots from the apples I used off the ground, that's about my discard pile for making 2 gallons of straight apple juice. So it's fairly tedious. That's all handwork there, just the big knife dicing the bruised or spoiled spots off the apples. Obviously there's some efficiency to be had in scaling things to a larger size, and I think an apple press or grape press that would have facilitated making a lot more juice with a lot less effort, but I can't really justify the price right now of something like that. I did things the hard way. I grabbed apples from my McIntosh apple tree off the ground, cut off the bruised or spoiled spots, and diced up the apples fine enough so they'd fit in my just regular kitchen blender. And I took the pulp from that, put it in a nylon filtering bag, and squeezed the nylon filtering bag so I could get the juice from the pulp. It took about 6 hours to do a 5-gallon pail of apples and turn them into 2 gallons of straight apple juice. So it was a lot of effort. I don't have an apple press or grape press, so I kind of have to do things somewhat primitive. So I just use a cookie sheet to dice my apples on. Cutting board might work better for some people. I make the slices big enough so they'll feed into my blender. Kind of chokes down towards the bottom. And then next I'll put these in the slices in the blender to get a pulp. And I'll feed the pulp through my, see, that's got a bad spot. Ooch. Cut that out. What I'm going to do is take the apple slices and put them in just a regular kitchen blender. Using that to jam them down in the bag. So after about 5 minutes of blending, what you get is essentially an applesauce. Slicing the apples and blending the apples, it's pretty messy, so if you can do it outside, I recommend it, although right now there are a bunch of bees out, so after sunset you won't have that problem with the bees. But so I'm going to take this, essentially what is applesauce, and then put it in my straining bag to get the juice. So with my latex gloves, and I'll work the straining bag with the apple juice in it, and get the separate the juice from the apple pulp I just made in the blender. Of course, the next step would be to take my apple juice and pour it into my my 1 gallon container. Kind of pretend we're doing that here. For apple juice or any juice with a high pectin content, they recommend this peptic enzyme. It'll actually help with the clarity of the finished wine product. So otherwise you'll get a kind of a brownish liquid that's cloudy. Probably look more like apple cider. But so they recommend a half teaspoon per gallon. So kind of like I added some, and again, it's just it's a clarifying agent. It doesn't do much with or anything with the taste. So there's a ton of other things you can do with your fall harvest, especially with apples. You can use one of these food dehydrators with the stackable trays, and after you load it up, you turn it on, run it for about 10 hours, and after 10 hours, you should your apple slices should get nice and crispy. They should look something like this. And they're a ton better than the apple slices they have up at Cub, dried apple slices. So, and this is the McIntosh. So that's what I recommend if you're going to do that. Some other vegetables from the garden I can recommend for the food dehydrator are cherry tomatoes. I just slice these in half. This is the top tray. It has a plastic sheet, so tomatoes are less likely to stick on the gridwork below. Different types of peppers. Some are hot, some are sweet. Dried cucumbers are pretty good. Dried garlic. The one thing I recommend that I don't have, I ate it all. Garden onions, sliced and dried out. It's actually the onion becomes very sweet as the sugar concentrates in it. So it's really good. You should try it. Not all my grapes went into wine production. I used some of my wild grapes to make jelly. This has a very similar taste to Welch's jelly, just a bit more tangy, but it's actually almost what you'd buy in the store for flavor. To make the jelly, I bought fruit pectin. Certo is the brand. It comes in these aluminum foil bags. You mix in with your wild grape juice. You boil it, pour it out, let it cool for overnight. One last ramble here before I cut my video off. I saved the pulp and the seeds from my wild grape wine production, and I've seen these seeds on eBay for 10 for $1. So this pile probably constitutes several $100s worth of wild grape seeds. And I just dry the seeds out on landscape fabric. Nothing sticks to it very well, so, and it breathes from both sides, so it'll dry faster. So, and there's some of my wild grape seeds right there. I also saved my seeds from my Edelweiss grape plant. It's a green table grape. The cultivar was developed right here in Minnesota, probably a little over a decade ago. So, although growing grapes from seeds, especially cultivated type, you get genetic mixing anytime you have a seed, so I'm not sure the seeds will hold to the original plant, but the idea is most of the genetics would be there, so it should be something very similar to the parent plant. But commercial nurseries never grow from seeds, they grow from clippings, just to avoid the issue of genetic mixing when you have a seed. So, well, anyway, that's my video for the day.